A recent study on financial decision-making found something brutal. Putting off a decision, just sitting on it, waiting, can end up costing you more than 9 times what a bad decision would have cost you outright. Not choosing isn't neutral. It isn't safe. It's the most expensive thing you can do, and almost nobody tracks it because there's no receipt for it. Today, we're breaking down 15 quiet, responsible, cheap-feeling choices that are secretly the most expensive thing you'll do this year, and exactly what wealthy people do instead. Number 1 is going to change how you look at every decision you make from here on. To see how this actually plays out, picture 2 people, same year, same starting paycheck, same job title, same rent, both 25 years old. 10 years from now, one of them will own their time. The other will still be trading hours for dollars, wondering exactly where the last decade went. It won't come down to luck, and it won't come down to who earned more. It'll come down to 15 small, forgettable decisions. Let's call them Dan and Marcus, and let's start with the first place their paths quietly split, number 15. Buying the cheap version of things you use every single day. Marcus buys the $40 sneakers because that feels like the responsible choice. 4 months later, they're falling apart, so he buys another pair, then another. Dan spends more upfront on a pair built to last, and 3 years later, he's still wearing them. Add it up, and Marcus has paid more money for worse shoes the entire time. This actually has a name. Writers and economists call it the Vimes Boots Theory, named after a fictional character who first described exactly this pattern, that being poor often means paying more over time, simply because you can only afford the version of something that needs replacing again and again. The rich don't ask what something costs, they ask what it costs per use. A well-made pair of boots worn daily for 3 years can end up cheaper per day than your coffee order. Shows, mattresses, office chairs, kitchen knives. Anything you touch every day is worth pricing this way, because cost per use is where quiet people either save thousands or quietly bleed money for years without ever noticing. Number 14. Saving money by wasting time. Poor decisions spend time to save money. Wealthy decisions spend money to save time. It comes down to one question almost nobody ever actually answers. What is an hour of your time worth? If you're earning minimum wage and standing in line for an hour saves you $10, that's a fair trade. But if your time is worth $50 an hour and returning a $30 item takes 45 minutes, you just lost money trying to save it. Most people who hear this make the same mistake afterward. They save the hour and then do nothing productive with it. Unless that hour gets used for something that actually moves you forward. You didn't save time, you just wasted it more quietly. The wealthy treat their calendar as ruthlessly as their bank account. Even rest gets scheduled on purpose, instead of being whatever's left over. Numbers 13. And here's one that's going to sting a little. A discount is not the same thing as a deal. 30% off something you never needed isn't savings. It's spending, just dressed up to feel smart. If you weren't already planning to buy it, the sale didn't save you money, it talked you into losing some. Poor decisions chase deals because deals feel like winning. There's a little rush to it, a hit of feeling clever. Wealthy decisions chase value because value is the thing that actually makes you win. Sometimes the best move isn't the cheapest option on the table, it's the one that actually moves your life forward. Look at how much quietly disappears every month into things that leave nothing behind. Food delivery, impulse buys, subscriptions you forgot you even had. That's how closets end up full and bank accounts end up empty. A bad deal is anything you buy that doesn't build towards something. Number 12. Trying to do expert-level work yourself just to avoid paying an expert. Early on, you do everything yourself because you have more time than money, and that's a fair trade for a while. Past a certain point, though, it stops being resourceful and starts being expensive in a way you can't see yet. Here's a number worth sitting with. According to a 2025 survey from Northwestern Mutual, 74% of American millionaires work with a financial advisor versus just 34% of the general population. That's not a coincidence. The wealthy don't hire experts because they can't figure things out themselves. They hire them because the expert already made the mistake you're about to make, and their fee is smaller than that mistake would have cost you. A good accountant isn't just there to file your taxes correctly. Their entire job is to find you more money than you're paying them. Doing expert work badly isn't saving money. It's a loan you took out from your future self, and it comes with interest. Number 11. Staying loyal to people and situations that are quietly costing you. The wealthy are almost ruthless about this. A job where you're not growing. A service you constantly have to double-check and correct. A partner who cuts corners. A friendship that shrinks every plan you bring to it. Most people keep all of it around, out of guilt, not logic. Being cheap isn't only about money. It's staying in a bad situation because leaving feels more expensive than it actually is. The exit is almost always smaller than the years you'll lose by avoiding it. You can be kind to someone and still keep them far away from whatever you're building. That's not coldness, that's just knowing the difference between loyalty and self-sabotage. Number 10. Losing dollars to save pennies. This is where the gap between Dan and Marcus really starts to widen. A few years in, Dan puts a small amount of money into something uncertain. A course, a dip in the market, a side opportunity, comfortable losing it if it doesn't work out, because even the lesson is worth something. Marcus guards every small number so tightly that he never notices the big ones slipping past him entirely. Life is full of these lopsided bets. Risk $10 for a shot at 100, or for a lesson you can't unlearn. Some people skip an event because they'd rather save the entrance fee and catch a recap online for free, never realizing what they actually missed was one conversation that could have changed their entire year. It's never expensive if you use it daily. It's never expensive if it makes you better. It's never expensive if it leads somewhere. The only genuinely expensive thing is whatever never moves you forward at all. Number 9. Confusing being cheap with being financially smart. Be careful of anyone who leans hard on words like frugal, responsible, or savvy, because those words often treat the symptom, not the actual problem. Most of the time, the real fix isn't spending less, it's earning more. Financially smart decisions make money in order to make more of it, or to protect what's already there. Cheap decisions just spend less and usually get less back in return. You see this most clearly on the downside. Never underpay the one person whose entire job is stopping the worst-case scenario from happening to you. Insurance is the classic example nobody thinks about until the exact day they desperately need it. Being smart with money and being scared of money can look identical from the outside. Fear just always has a reasonable-sounding excuse ready to go. Number 8. Doing low-value work simply because it only takes 10 minutes. That sentence, "It'll only take 10 minutes," might be the most expensive sentence in your entire day because it feels productive without actually being productive. Being busy feels like progress, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. You can end a long day having done 20 things and moved absolutely nowhere. There are two kinds of moves you can make in a day: maintenance moves and growth moves. Answering emails is maintenance. Meeting someone who could become a client is growth. Paying bills is maintenance. Pitching a new idea is growth. Watch out for entire weeks that pass without a single growth move on them. A packed calendar has a quiet way of sabotaging ambition. One comfortable 10-minute task at a time. Number 7. Delaying decisions to avoid being wrong. Not deciding feels safe, but that safety is an illusion, and an expensive one. There's actual research behind this. A study looking at real loan officers at a major bank found that decision fatigue, the mental exhaustion of having to choose over and over all day, cost the bank the equivalent of more than 9 times one officer's average monthly salary. That's not a hypothetical, that's measured, real money, lost simply because people were too tired to decide well. Not making a decision is still a decision, it just feels different, because it feels like standing still instead of choosing. But standing still was never neutral. The technical term for what actually happens is entropy. Left alone, things don't hold steady, they decay. Your business, your health, your relationships, all of it. Wealthy decisions get made faster, not because the answer is always obvious, but because the cost of a slow yes is almost always higher than the cost of a fast wrong answer. A wrong decision teaches you something within a week. An avoided decision teaches you nothing for an entire year. Number 6. Surrounding yourself with people who normalize small thinking. You rise or sink to the level of the room you spend the most time in, and small thinking spreads quietly because it's polite. Nobody actually tells you to aim lower, they just flinch slightly when you aim high. And after enough flinches, you start aiming lower on instinct without ever consciously deciding to. There's real data behind this. A 5-year study tracking 233 millionaires, most of them self-made, alongside 128 people living in poverty, found that 88% of the self-made millionaires spent at least 30 minutes a day learning something new, while 77% of the people in poverty spent over an hour a day watching television instead. That's not about intelligence. That's about which room they were sitting in. The wealthy are deliberate, almost calculating, about who gets access to their time, because the people around you quietly set the ceiling on what feels normal. Number 5, and this one might hit the hardest. You could be playing a game that has no real prize at the end. Even if you win it, ask yourself honestly, if you won at exactly what you're doing right now, would it actually matter in 5 years? Would it change anything that counts? Plenty of people reach their 50s and realize they've won game after game that never mattered in the first place. Watch out for anything where winning still leaves you standing in the same place, just more tired. The wealthy choose their games by the size of what winning actually unlocks. Before they spend years on anything, they ask one question: what does winning this really change? If the honest answer is a slightly bigger house on the same dead-end street, they walk away and find a different game. One life-changing win beats 10 small ones that leave you exactly where you started. Number 4. Letting bad tools, a rough start, or someone else's opinion slow down real ambition. Starting does something waiting never will. It moves you from watching to actually building. Everyone starts out with tools that aren't good enough yet. Using them anyway is exactly what earns you better ones later on. A cheap mindset treats every obstacle as a reason to quit before it's even begun. Someone will always have an opinion about what you're doing. It's worth asking why their opinion should outweigh yours, considering they're not the one who has to live with the outcome. People who end up wealth tend to do 2 things extremely well. They squeeze real value out of whatever they already have, and they reinvest aggressively into whatever's actually working. The first proves the idea is worth pursuing. The second decides exactly where the effort goes next. Number 3. Doubling down on a sunk cost. This is how people go broke, or quietly stay broke, for years at a time. Walking away from a bad deal on bad terms is almost always cheaper than staying in it and trying to fix it. This isn't just an opinion. It's one of the most well-documented patterns in behavioral psychology. Back in 1985, researchers Hal Arks and Catherine Bloomer published a study showing that people will irrationally keep pouring time, money, or effort into something specifically because they've already invested in it, even when the smartest move is obviously to walk away. The money is already gone the moment you spent it. The only real question left is whether you're going to keep paying just to defend a decision that already failed. You're allowed to be wrong once. You don't also have to lose the years it takes you to admit it. Cut the loss, take what it taught you, and move on for good. Number 2, and this one changes how you'll look at every deal you make from here on. The wealthy structure their income so they get paid no matter what happens. It's not about how hard they work. It's about how the deal itself is built. Take hedge funds. They typically charge 2% of your money every single year, plus 20% of any profit they make you. If the fund does well, they get rich off that 20%. If it does badly, they still collect the 2%, even in a year they lost you money. Lawyers get paid whether you win your case or not. Casinos never gamble. Landlords collect rent whether your month was good or terrible. Every one of them built a position where they get paid before the outcome is even known. And you can structure your own deals the exact same way. Ask for a deposit before the work starts. Trade to get equity and cash, not just one or the other. Which brings us to number 1. The mistake that quietly limits every single other one on this list. Refusing to change. Everything valuable you've ever built comes with an expiration date, whether you like it or not. Every new chapter of your life will ask you to become someone slightly different if you actually want to keep growing, in your work and in your personal life both. Remember Dan and Marcus? 10 years after that identical starting point, Dan owns his time. He adjusted every time the ground shifted under him, new tools, new rules, new realities, instead of digging in and hoping things would go back to how they used to be. Marcus is still doing the exact same job the exact same way he was a decade ago, quietly wondering why everyone around him seems to keep pulling ahead. The gap was never talent, and it was never even luck. It was 15 small decisions, repeated often enough to become the entire shape of two very different lives. If you don't change on purpose, the world will eventually change your life for you, and it won't bother asking permission first. So here they all are again. Quick, buy for cost per use, not price. Spend money to save time, not the other way around. Chase value, not the feeling of a deal. Pay the experts who save you from mistakes you haven't made yet. Let go of people and situations you're only staying loyal to out of guilt. Guard the big numbers and stop obsessing over the small ones. Earn more instead of just spending less. Skip the busy work that only feels productive. Decide fast, because delay has a cost too. It's just invisible. Stay close to people who think bigger than you currently do. Only play games with a prize and actually worth winning. Start ugly instead of waiting for perfect conditions. Cut your losses instead of defending a decision that already failed. Structure every deal so you get paid no matter what happens. And above everything else, change before life forces you to. And since you made it this far, here's one more, completely free. Just because something is hard to get doesn't mean it's actually worth having. We tend to assume difficulty and value are the same thing, that if something is hard to reach, it must be worth reaching. It's a comforting idea. It just isn't true. The world hands out obstacles generously, and it's surprisingly careless about what it actually puts behind them. A worthless thing can be guarded by every difficulty imaginable, while something genuinely valuable sits out in the open, completely unattended, because nobody bothered to notice it. What's actually valuable was never what's hard to get. It's what still fulfills you once you finally have it. Most things worth having are difficult to get. That part is true. But difficulty alone was never proof that something deserves your next 10 years. So ask yourself honestly, the thing you're currently climbing toward, is it actually worth the climb? If the answer is yes, everything from here forward is about getting to the top. If it's no, stop climbing and go build the right thing instead. Out of all 15, one of them probably landed harder than the rest. The one that's quietly been costing you the most without you even noticing until right now. Put the number in the comments. We're genuinely curious which one it was. If this saved you from a mistake you were about to make, or one you're still making right now, subscribe, because there's a lot more of this coming. And if there's one specific person who needs to hear exactly this today, don't just like it, send it to them directly. Sometimes that's the entire reason a video like this exists.